Welcome to the introduction lecture of audit insurance. One of the most, um, you know, I wouldn't say difficult, but yes, it takes a lot of brains. It eats up your brain, right? Mostly because it's theoretical, so you have to express yourself in words. You don't have numbers to work with. You don't have a lot of numbers to work with, but yes, it's words that you need to express yourself in the longer questions, and the shorter questions, obviously you have MCQs. So it's like, sometimes students find it very boring because it's all theory, mostly. I would say 90% theory, right? The course code is AA, and we're studying for the June 21 attempt, right? Now let's look at some details related to the course. Let's look at some preparation strategy, and then we'll finally look at the timetable and all. Guys, double A basically is the first paper of audit and assurance, right? In your ACC, you don't have any uh, paper in the knowledge level that caters to double A. All right. So it's the first paper. That's why, and this is one of the reasons why students usually at the start find it a bit difficult. But as you go along, I've seen great responses from some very weak students, because they took my advice, they took it very seriously, and they obviously were focused, right? Now, what knowledge is required in double A, if any? Let's try to first understand that. Financial reporting, not to some great extent, but basic reporting knowledge. For example, certain standards like IAS 2, IAS 10, IAS 37, IAS 16, IAS 8. These are certain accounting standards that the examiner expects you to know for your AA exam. Mainly, I would say, reason being, you've studied these standards in your FA financial accounting as well, which is previously known as F3, right? Now, whatever you learn over here gets carried forward to AAA, one of the most technical papers in ACCA with the lowest passing ratio. This is a fact. I'm not trying to scare you. It's a fact, right? But again, even there is a percentage that passes the exam, right? It's just the right technique, the right strategy. And this is what we'll be focusing on: the right technique and the right strategy to study AA and to clear the paper in the first attempt. If you, let's say, are a second attempter, if let's say you're attempting the paper the second or third time, please unlearn your strategy that you previously used, and you need to relearn the strategy that I will tell you, so that you can easily pass the paper in this attempt. Okay? This, whatever knowledge you get, right, will certainly help you in your AAA. And if you opt for AAA, because it's an option, right? At professional level, advanced audit and assurance is an option, right? This will help you get exemptions for your ICEW, and you can obviously, just like for the corporate reporting paper, which is advanced level paper in ICW, AAA forms approximately 35 to 40% of the paper. Okay. I've been teaching this paper for the last 4 years now. Corporate reporting advanced level AA, I've been teaching for the last 6 years. All right. Um, so it's like, you know, it's whatever you learn in AA is like a huge chunk that will be part of the corporate reporting, ultimate level of reporting. Okay. Because these two things go hand in hand, for especially for an external auditor. Okay. Now, the syllabus outline, basically, the I call it outline because obviously it's just the main things that that the syllabus consists of, right? You have introduction to assurance engagement, you have corporate governance, you have ethics. Corporate governance and ethics is something that corporate governance, something that you've studied in business and technology as well, which was previously known as F1. Ethics is like part of almost all the papers, right? Planning the audit, how you plan the audit, because again, audit is an activity, it's an engagement. It's an assignment, right? Whenever it's like a project, right? Whenever you start a project, before you start the execution, you need to plan. You need to have certain strategies. You need to have certain processes, which according to which you will basically execute the plan, right? Risk assessment, a very crucial area in AA, right? This risk assessment, whatever you learn over here, will help you in your SBL, right? It's a very key area in SBL. Okay, strategic business leader, which is basically your professional level paper, right? It's an essential paper. It's not an option. Internal controls, internal audit, internal controls, whatever you learn over here will help you in your SBL as well. Okay. Evidence gathering, that obviously I will explain you when I teach you audit and assurance, what exactly that is, right? You'll have your procedures, you'll have completion review and audit report. So these are basically the 10 areas. This is my bifurcation. So these are the 10 areas that according to which I bifurcate the course. And we'll be focusing on these 10 areas to ensure a good pass. Okay. Now, if I break this down, you guys probably know that the auditing world, works around the international standards on auditing. Okay. So those international standards on auditing, I've basically made a list over here of the examinable auditing standards, right? Guys, don't get confused. This is what we'll be looking at. Like, this is the bifurcation of the course that we will look at. All right. But yes, we will come across all these standards that are examinable. So you have 200, 210, 220, 230, 240, 250, 60, and basically the series of 200, which is regarding the general audit principles. Then you have the series of 300, which is basically risk assessment and response. You have the series of 500, which is audit evidence. You have the series of 600, which is using the work of others, and audit conclusion reporting, which is a series of 700, right? So these are the auditing standards in an exam. Okay. Even if you look at the answers of the examiner, right? You might find, let's say, in the exam answers, towards the end of the kit, you might find examiners quoting the standards, the name and the number. For example, ISA 500 audit evidence asks us to do, this, right? Examiner, as a student, the examiner does not expect you to write this. Simple as that. Why? Because you don't have any marks for it. Okay. Can you please turn off your video? All right. Now, like I said, examiner does not expect you to write this, right? If you're struggling with, remembering the name of the standard, the number of the standard, you don't need to go through all of that, because again, like I said, it won't get you any marks. A lot of students try to play smart. They quote a number, they quote the name, and whatever they write after that is all wrong. Literally, it's all wrong. Okay. And this is the part which the examiner is concerned about. So that area, if you're writing it wrong, what good is for you to write the name and the number, right? It's you examiner, the approach that the examiner wants you to take is of not just acting smart, but being smart. All right. If you're being smart about your answers, you will certainly get the required marks, and you won't have to appear for the paper again and again. Okay. But if you just try to act smart and you're not actually smart with writing your answers, 5 attempts, 3 attempts, 2 attempts, it's like you can go for the rest of your life with AA, at least 10 years, right? As long as ACCA allows you. Okay. So that is it. Now, if you look at the exam structure, you've got 2 sections. Paper is for 100 marks, CBE format, which is basically in March, June, September, and December, right? What we're studying for is the June 21 attempt, correct? You've got 2 sections, section A and section B. Section A will consist of 3 OCQs. OCQs are objective case questions. Objective case questions are basically you will get a case, right? And from that case, you will have 5 MCQs. Okay, from that case, so basically each OCQ, if I break this down over here, let me do it over here. So each OCQ will have 5 MCQs, and each MCQ will be worth 2 marks. That means the case will be worth 10 marks. And since you will have 3 OCQs, 3 cases, this section will be worth 30 marks. That means 30% of the paper, right? Section B is the bigger chunk, and it's probably the more difficult one, right? Section B will consist of 2 CRQs. CRQs are basically constructive response questions, right? Constructive response questions are the long form questions, right? Where you have to type and where you have to calculate and present everything, right? It's not MCQs, you have to type it out, right? Similarly, you'll have, like I said, 2 CRQs, each will be worth 20 marks, making it 40, right? And then you'll have 1 CRQ for 30 marks, which is the longest question. 30 marks, so that makes it 100, right? Section B, examiner tells you the areas where it will be tested from. There are 4 main areas. Obviously, I cannot go into the detail of these areas because there's, somewhere in the middle of audit assurance, okay, somewhere in the middle of the syllabus. So as of now, you wouldn't, you wouldn't know what these topics are about. But as and when we go along with our syllabus, I'll obviously explain you all these things, right? So you have audit risk, control, deficiencies and recommendations, key controls and TOCs and audit evidence. Guys, these areas are not just important for the exam. These are practically very important. Okay, like in fact, one of the most important areas practically when you perform audit. Okay, when you get engaged in audit engagement, basically. Okay, so it's like the reason why the examiner is testing, the most difficult part from the most crucial area of the syllabus is because they want you to be prepared for, for your practical audit experience. Okay. Now, these are the resources that I recommend. Obviously, the lectures that we'll cover, including the notes. I'll show you how the notes look like. So this is like one part of the note, right? You have ethics, you have audit evidence, okay? So you have, audit planning, so, these are all the notes, all right? So obviously you will get these notes, internal controls and test of controls, okay? So introduction to audit, I just showed it to you, right? So this is a bunch of notes that you will get, okay? Book reading, always recommended, okay? Book reading, guys, is always recommended, always, always, always. That means it does not mean that it's compulsory for you to read the book. It's not like you won't be able to pass the paper if you don't read the book. It's not like that. But yes, for your knowledge, obviously my lectures and my notes are more than enough. But book reading is something that you need to make it a habit for the rest of your papers as well. Okay. Practice will be done from Kaplan kit. And finally, we will use technical articles to look at certain areas that are examiners' favorite areas, because examiners' favorite areas are actually the areas that are very important practically as well. And obviously the examiner tends to test them a lot. Okay. Some of the areas I've already mentioned over here, which are tested in section B. Okay. Our approach would be pretty simple. We'll do one topic, right? And we'll do the kit practice for that topic. Do the second topic, kit practice. Third topic, kit practice. Fourth topic, kit practice. Yes, there are certain topics, for example, introduction to audit. That's one whole topic. You don't have questions on that topic, like, isolated questions on that topic, because that particular topic might be tested along with ethics or corporate governance or any other particular area of the syllabus, right? So we need to cover that area of the syllabus to make sure that we're able to do the kit, efficiently. So in that case, yes, when we cover the complementary topic, we'll certainly move towards the kit and we'll do the kit practice. Mainly my focus towards the start of the syllabus will be on section A. And once we're like halfway through the syllabus, not halfway through the syllabus, in fact, 30% uh, through the syllabus, we'll start with section B practice as well, because we need at least that amount of knowledge to start with section B questions. Okay, yes, isolated topics like ethics and corporate governance, we can easily do section A and section B on it together. That won't be a problem. All right. Once we're done with the syllabus, which I expect to complete, around okay, this is the date I expect to complete the syllabus. After that, we'll have a 3-day revision course. Each session will be basically for 2 hours, right? Maximum 2.5 hours. So that's like 6 hours revision, which will be like a narration of all the topics that I've taught you. Okay. So these 10 areas, these 10 outlines of syllabus that we just looked at will be bifurcated into 3 days, right? I'll break them down into 3 days, right? And I'll basically, so 3 days is basically, the way I put it, and the way I've done it earlier as well, is basically planning, execution, and completion, right? So planning is like the initial stage of audit. Execution is like the middle stage where you're actually performing the procedures and you're gathering the evidence. And finally, you have the completion stage where you're basically reviewing your audit work and you're basically coming up with an audit opinion, right? So that's the 3-day revision strategy. Okay, guys, remember one thing. The moment I do a topic, right, I expect you to revise that before we start the new topic. Before we start the next topic, I want you to revise the topic that we just done. All right. And make sure that you're at par with your revision. Otherwise, it's a theoretical paper, right? You will tend to, in fact, you will definitely forget what we've done. And which will certainly put a lot of burden on you after 15th May. That's for sure. Okay. So you have to be at par with your revision. Okay. In the end, I'll keep a small mock. Mock will be, obviously, it will imitate the exam structure, but it does not mean that I'll give you a balanced paper. I won't give you a balanced paper, guys. Reason being, I will give you in the mock, I will test the areas that the examiner, would basically expect you to prepare well, like very well, so that you can pass the paper. Those are the areas which are examiner's favorite. Simple as that. Okay. So examiner will certainly give you a balanced paper. Yes. But I don't expect you to, obviously, as a trainer, I expect you to know the easier areas well enough for you to answer them, in an appropriate manner. But the technical areas, the difficult areas, a lot of students tend to mess that up, which we cannot afford during an exam. Okay. So most of the mock would be around those technical areas. Okay. One last thing, and then I can, I'll be taking some questions. These are the questions that I have seen in the past. Students ask the most. The paper is mostly theory. Mostly is theory, but you will get some numbers to analyze, because that's like part of the audit. The base, the max level of difficulty you can get is to perform ratio analysis. I cannot explain it right now as to why you need to perform ratio analysis. It's called because, it's because of a certain standard, which is called analytical procedures. But yes, you will, the maximum difficulty you will get is to perform ratio analysis and then draw out conclusions based on those ratios you have identified as to whether the business is a going concern or the business doing well, or what the procedures that you need to perform, all these things related to audit. Okay. What type of options will we get in the exam? Mostly MCQs. Choose one out of four, right? You can also get true and false, which is true or false, right? You can also get choose two out of, let's say you'll get five options. You'll have to choose two. You can also get five options. You'll have to choose three. You can also get four options. You'll have to choose two, right? There could be a whole bunch of combination. But the point is, if you worry about that right now or even later at the end of the course, you are not applying the right strategy to prepare yourself for the paper, because this is something, it's something which is not in your control. It's something that the examiner only controls. It is at the examiner's discretion as to what type of questions to give, right? But the point is, it will certainly be from the syllabus that we have covered. Nothing out of the syllabus. It does not make sense, right? So you just focus on the things that you can control, which is acquiring the knowledge in the paper, right? Is book reading important? I already told you about this. Book reading, highly recommended, not compulsory for you to pass the paper. Simple. Okay, if you skip book reading, focus on the lectures, focus on my notes, you're good to go. But like I said, I recommend book reading. Okay. What should be the studying strategy while we are still on the lectures? I'll repeat myself. Before the next topic, before the new topic, I want you to revise the previous topic that we just did. Ask any questions you may have and ensure that I answer your questions. All right. Ensure that I answer your questions means that, sometimes, let's say I have a lot of queries pending, so I might not timely reply to your query, right? It means bugging me, right? Messaging me, right? It does not take more than two messages for you to put out. I'll reply within two messages, right? That's my ratio. Okay. Within two messages max, I'll reply. Okay. So if, let's say, you message me once, I'm probably busy in, during the class or anything like that, I might ignore your message, but then message me again and I'll definitely reply you. I'll answer your question. Okay. But make sure you do that before we start the next topic. Simple. Okay. The class format will be 2 live classes and 1 recorded class. Okay. And the classes will start from 25th March onwards. Like I told you, I expect to finish the course by 15th May 2021, right? And after that, 20th May onwards, so from 20th to 23rd, we'll have the revision course, right? And then after 2 days, we'll have a mock. So like well before, 5 days before the exam, at least not the exam, because exams are starting, I guess, on the 7th of June, because that's the first Monday, right? Well, let me just confirm and check. Okay, yes. So 7th Monday is the 1st June, right? So you still have one whole week for June as well to revise towards the end. The end revision is when you just go through the lectures, just top of the pages, and you're just trying to, make sure that you have everything in your mind. Okay. It does not mean that you open up your books and you go through each and every detail, because all the details are already in your head by now. It should be in your head by now, and it will be if you follow my strategy. Okay. Before the next topic, revise the previous topic and get all your queries cleared by me, no matter what. Okay. So that is it. I would, if you have any questions, you can ask me. You can put it on the chat and I'll answer your questions. So we have Any questions, guys? Mohammed, Jasjeet, Bent, do you guys have any questions? None? All right. If you come across, let's say, if you have any queries later on, let's say if you have any questions, you can um, WhatsApp me on this number. So that's +923242520037. Okay. If you have any questions, let's say after the session, you know, come across something, you can ask me on WhatsApp. Okay. So that's it, guys. Take care. Goodbye.